could spell trouble. We know that sometimes finding the Lugia V-Star is quite difficult.
Yeah, only 2 in the list for Connor, so gonna have to put a lot of pressure on finding that turn 2 to get that summoning star off before Lance.
So Connor going to be struggling to get set up immediately. Lance maybe going to be struggling in the mid game to try to close things out, missing those quick balls and those Aurora energies. We'll see how it stacks up. We've got Pumpkaboo set up versus the Lugia V. Connor opening us up now, finds the Lugia V2 bench with the V-Guard energy and just a pass.
No. That is not a good hand. It is 5 energy. Not really much else you can do.
What a brick. But now it's over to Lance to try to capitalize on this. When you see your opponent just attach pass, this is a massive window of opportunity. Has the Ultra Ball, no Archeops discarded, gets rid of the Lost Vacuum, the Dunsparce.
Yeah, again, you always want to start out with discarding those Archeops to get your Summoning Star set up for the following turn. And when you don't have those Archeops in hand, you're kind of forced to search them out with Ultra Ball and things like that. But we're going to be a little bit in trouble with those 3 Quick Ball and the prizes. You're going to need a lot of your Pokemon just straight off the top.
Lance getting the bad news right now. Sees those Quick Balls missing, sees those Aurora Energies missing. 1 Archeops also out of the mix. Still running 4, of course, but it's just a matter of getting set up here. Discarding the Lost Vacuum in the Dunsparce is pretty smart. You know, the Raikou is going to be a little bit of a headache, but this is not a matchup where you really need the Lost Vacuum. So at the very least, finds the Archeops. With 3 Quick Ball down, it's going to be difficult to get this into the discard pile, but fortunately, we do have the 4th Quick Ball.
Yeah, who needs any other ones? You know, you're going to start with it in hand.
And Lance might even be forced to just pop onto 1 Archeops. It's very tricky to pull it off in the mirror, but sometimes you're forced into it. Just picks up the Lumineon off of the Quick Ball, plays it down immediately to use that Luminous Sign ability to grab the Professor's Research. Is going to need a fat 7 cards here. What is he looking for specifically, Jeremy?
Well, another Lugia would be great because a lot of the times with the Lugia V-Star, your turn 1, if you have the Lugia, you don't really need anything else. You can play a supporter, get your V-Star, discard all the Archeops, kind of feigning weakness to your opponent. And we see that there, the 2nd Lugia V in hand, and it's looking pretty nice for Lance. Just having that Professor's Research, you have the option to Marnie, but that's never really what you want to do turn 1.
All right, and after that research, drawing 7 now, finally. And we'll see how it comes to pass, because this Pumpkaboo, you know, still has a pretty big retreat cost for a single prize Pokemon. Could be stranded. Connor does run the 1 copy of Bird Keeper. Could get that out of the active for a surprise evolution into a knockout.
Honestly, Connor just needs any supporter. I think that would help. And we're going to see Read the Wind. So a really nice setup. I think Lance drew into an evolution incense as well.
There's another manual attach. Gets the capture energy for Connor. Going to now look through the deck, see exactly what's going on. Capture energy, going to find a basic, put that onto the bench.
And this is disaster for Connor because the Rangaroos and the prizes, that's one way to extend the hand here. Just
so many of these
Lugia
decks and Lugia mirrors come down to the Oranguru, having that 1 extra card to tie the turn together.
Yeah, and the benefit of putting back those special energies in your hand to get them with Archeops later. And yeah,
hands full of energies, nothing to do.
Archeops, it is not doing anything at all, and just a pass of the turn.
It's over to Lance. He just got a lot of cards on Professor's Research. 1 draw off the top, evaluates the discard pile, figuring out the move, pulls that Archeops to the top, might have it here, is considering maybe only 1 Archeops.
Well, depending on if you have something like that Boss's Orders or Serena in hand, you can bring up that Lugia V with 2 energies and take a knockout.
It was a shame, too, because the 2nd Lumineon V was discarded with Read the Wind, so can't just find a supporter that way. Goes for Evolution Incense.
And with those 3 Quick Ball in the prize cards, it's going to be pretty hard for Lance to find a discard outlet for another Archeops here. We might see something like that Lugia V-Star, just so you can get another one on the bench, get that evolved up. And
And again, the two Aurora energies as well. In desperate times, you can discard with the Aurora energy manual attachment, but just pops the Summoning Star, gets one Archeops, is going to try to capitalize on Connor Vitton's double pass, is understanding now that there's obviously a very bad bricked hand. I'm going to just jump out here with an aggressive start. One manual attachment from long ago, plus another powerful energy, and the Primal Turbo providing two more. This is a big, powered-up Lugia V-Star, ready to take the knockout.
Yeah, and we're
one more boss,
we're gonna see
there.
that boss here taking the big 2-prize KO against this Lugia V, and Connor needs something next turn, or we're going into game 2 pretty quickly.
Yeah, Connor's a pretty smart player. He's played this mirror match enough to know you've probably got a scoop here. What is that card? Did you see it, Jeremy?
Stoutland. That's not doing anything. I'd recognize that full art anywhere. And, yep, 5-minute game 1 where Connor did not play Pokemon, and now he's going to have to try to look for a little bit better of a hand in game 2.
All those energies in the hand is impossible to deal with. Oranguru maybe can scrape you back into the game because you shuffle those back in. Maybe an early Luminion, try to get some manual attachments, but the worst case scenario of Professor's Research, just to bail into a new hand, means that all of those resources go away. You can't even close out in the mid-late game. So Connor doing the smart thing. 44 minutes still left on the clock, and now Lance Bradshaw has a lot of time and a lot of momentum to play around with.
Yeah, going second that game, but was able to overcome it. And winning game 1 means even if you lose game 2, game 3, you're going first. You're going to be in a pretty good position. And as long as you don't draw a hand like Connor's, you're going to be able to play some Pokemon at least.
Yeah, both players still had a bit of an awkward start, right? Connor had more of an awkward start for sure, but Lance made the right call, going for the single Archeops. You know, some players might want to say, okay, well, if we're both kind of playing slow, I can kind of wait, get my second Archeops, just kind of prepare, and just recognizing I can, you know, strike while the iron is hot, secure this first game. It's a great strategy here, especially when you're trying to lock in that top 8.
And that's the goal for both of these players. They have made it through day 1 of this tournament, now in the thick of things for day 2, and ever so close to that 34 match points.
The prizes are going once again, and Connor with 2 Archeops in the prizes, and an Ultra Ball as well. Ooh, this is looking a little dicey.
Does play 4, so there is still 2 left in the deck, but you want to be able to draw those as fast as possible, and it's going to probably tax those Evolution Incense a little bit in trying to find them.
Yeah, so Lugia is going to be Connor's starting Pokemon in the active spot. Double Turbo Energy, attach and pass. Similar to what we saw in the first game, it's over to Lance, starting Radiant Charizard in the active spot. Got a bench of a Lugia V here, great position. Hopefully maybe a second Lugia V. An attachment would be fantastic. Quick Ball discards an Archeops. Already Lance is getting a much more stable setup, making the dream come true.
Yeah, Radiant Charizard is not the preferred starter that you would choose with this Lugia deck. 3 retreat costs. It attacks for 5 early game. Excited Heart only reduces its attack cost for each prize card your opponent has taken.
And looking a little deeper at Lance's list, he's got 1 Bird Keeper. That's going to be the easiest way to get this Charizard out of the active. And this could just be a bit of a wall. It's going to sit there, and it's going to potentially allow Connor to get fully set up, take the knockout, and if he so chooses, maybe even leave that Radiant Charizard alone.
Yeah, it'll really depend on how things shape up for his hand. Again, he just attached an energy and passed the turn. So from Lance's side of things, you still have 6 energy in hand. Who knows?
You've got plenty of time, and it's just a matter of how players investigate this, navigate this. It's similar to like when Path of the Peak is in play, and both players are just kind of slowed to a halt, and you're kind of glad sometimes when the game is put on pause. If you have a really bad setup, if you've got a clunky hand, and you know, eventually one of the players might draw into a Marnie or something, be forced to play it down. But overall, Lance, after searching through the deck deeply off the quick ball, decides on Luminion V and is going to go back in. Serena being pulled into the hand to set up for later. I love the dual mode of Serena, you know, being able to boss up a Pokemon V or just draw cards. The ability to fix any awkward situation is so strong for the supporter.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing it here just because the hand, you don't want to discard all of it because I think there's that Lugia V-Star, so The Serena able to discard that second Archeops, discard that Stoutland V that's not really useful in this matchup, draw a little bit of cards, and that way next turn you're fully set up for your Summoning Star.
Beautifully done. Drawn back up to 5 cards in hand, is going back in. And now, thanks to the Serena as well, being able to discard that Archeops, Lance just has to get the Lugia V-Star set up next turn. He's ready to go. The final obstacle is getting Radiant Charizard out of the active.
Yeah, it is a hefty retreat cost, 3 retreat costs, so that's a double turbo and something like a capture energy that you're going to use to get it out. There's some times where you'll attach the full 5 energy and try to just take the knockout if it's available to you.
That would be spicy. The manual attach of a double turbo is a great way to set up both of those lines.
Yep. And now we get a glimpse at Connor's hand. Had the quick ball, didn't play it down the turn prior.
Quick ball discarding the Serena means there's going to be one less discard outlet for the Archeops once they're found. Remember, Connor has 2 of them in the prize cards, so has to find the remaining 2 to complete his setup and keep up with Lance's fantastic first turn.
And we're seeing that here. Connor is looking through, and yeah, there's only 2 Archeops in there. Gonna have to do a little bit of work this game to try to make a comeback.
Quick ball only finds a basic. So the Archeops have to be found through some other method, be it Ultra Ball, Evolution, Incense, but at least a Rangaroo is here to save the day. So many hopes and dreams of so many Lugia players have relied on this wise monkey.
Yeah, it's Primate Wisdom being able to let you see an extra card off the top of the deck by placing one from your hand.
Also a great way to protect against Marnie, which is really a big disruption in this matchup. Goes for the research, I do believe.
Yep, discarding the Roar energy, a little bit risky there, but other than that, nothing too bad. And wow, still no Archeops found, no Evolution Incense in hand, just some more quick ball.
Discards the Pumpkaboo, searching through the deck once more, gets a second Lugia V. When you're in a situation like this, you absolutely need 2 of them in case one gets knocked out. You still have access to that Summoning Star next turn, but even if we get the Lugia V-Star, we need to get these Archeops into the discard pile. So many discard options already being used this turn. If they come to the hand, it's going to be so awkward to get those into the discard.
Now Connor debating, yeah, you got a Primate Wisdom, maybe a retreat to save a couple prizes. And Boss's orders off the top from that Primate Wisdom, not going to do it here. We're gonna have a Rangaroo hold down the fort for a turn at least.
This is gonna signal to Lance how awkward it really is for Connor, where Rangaroo has to buy some time. Keeping 2 Lugia V active and alive on the bench means that they need several turns of time to get the V-Star and the setup. But back over to Lance. Lugia V-Star is evolved. We already know that there's 2 Archeops in the discard pile. Those are gonna come out with the Summoning Star here pretty soon. Lance just thinking through the rest of the turn, thinking through the rest of the sequences before officially setting up the Summoning Star. And there it is, V-Star power activated, Archeops onto the bench, and maybe Radiant Charizard will take a knock here.
Connor looking and saying maybe, like, hey, can I borrow some of those Archeops? Do you have any extra?
just split one, please. Let's have a good clean game here in top 8. Lance did so well in the first game, just completing the setup. And you can see Connor also focusing on not trying to go for any desperate plays of, I'm going to just go for one Archeops, or I need to save these discard activators for the Archeops. It's just all about finding something and getting set up and trusting the deck will pull through.
Well, talking about pulling through, 5 energy on that Radiant Charizard in the active. When you sense that weakness, you got to go for it. Have that attacker ready. If there's another way to bring up one of the bench Pokemon, but no, just the knockout on the Rangaroo. And the one bad thing about Primate Wisdom when you're trying to draw into anything, your next card is not going to be anything because you already know what it is.
Exactly. It's something that you maybe stash against Amari, but with your hand's already bad, you're drawing something that's equally not useful. So Connor goes for a Marnie here. Needs a Lugia V-Star, needs both Archeops, and then an Ultra Ball, right? Just make it happen. Let's go.
We see one, no other way to discard it. No Lugia V-Star. We're going to have a read the win, draw 3 cards. I guess the one benefit is Lance won't be able to attack without a Bird Keeper with the Radiant Charizard. Is going to have to attack with something like that Lugia V-Star.
Oh, that is true. The Combustion Blast, it can't attack 2 turns in a row. So after that Read the Wind, we're back over to Lance. Discards that Archeops.
Thankfully for next turn, Connor did find that Evolution Incense, that Lugia V-Star that is so desperately needed, but it might be too little too late. Lance has already a full turn ahead and might even go up 3 prizes to 6 by the time Connor can get set up.
Yeah, and Lance only has 1 Aurora energy in the prizes. Still has so many special energy to work with. If Charizard goes down and loses all this energy, there's still plenty of resources in the deck to keep attaching and just bullying down. With Connor, being forced to manually attach like this, if you don't get double Archeops, and the Evital is also off the table. This is such a pivotal card to catch up in the mirror.
And we're just going to see that Lugia V-Star being powered up. That double turbo energy and the V-Guard will make it last a little bit longer against Connor's Lugia V-Star potentially. And the 220 damage, exactly enough to take the knockout on Lugia V.
Beautiful. Once you get the Lugia V-Star set up, with all these powerful energies, it's like the mini boss for the mid game in this list. It forces your opponent to respond with an incredible taxing of resources to get this thing out of the active. Either they have to go quad powerful energy choice spell on their own V-Star or get the Evital set up. Takes the knockout. Lugia V-Star claiming 2 more prizes for Lance Bradshaw, and it's back over to Connor. Everything rides on this turn for him. He's starting off with the Evolution Incense to dig through the list, find that remaining Archeops.
Yeah, with this, Connor finally has it, that Ultra Ball being able to discard the second one in hand. Lugia V-Star already in hand. And from here, can you put together these 6 prizes before Lance gets the last 3? I'm not sure if it's going to be possible.
If the resources are there in the deck properly, as they should be, we can power up the Evital with the 2 Primal Turbos, take down the Lugia V-Star, take 2 prizes, but when we look across at what the next few turns might be, Lance can just strike back with this Radiant Charizard that's all ready to go, still has some energies attached to it. Connor is employing the Snorlax with the Unfazed Fat, very interesting tech, just big HP, but Primal Turbo #1 coming through. And it looks like the setup is already being assembled for the Evital, and its amazing destruction attack. The opposing Pokemon is just knocked out.
Yep.
No damage, just
Easy.
1 line of text.
It is a pretty amazing card, if I say so myself.
I do appreciate the arts for all of these rares. You love to see it. Like the fact that these cards have gotten employed now for... They were printed as just kind of silly cards. Like the energy requirements were really awkward for a lot of lists, but now we're seeing Raikou, Evital, amazing Rayquaza. It's just so amazing.
Yeah, really putting in a ton of work. A long time coming, because these cards took a while for them to get popular, and Archeops really just opening the door here, and that heat, fire energy on the Evital, enough to finally use that amazing destruction. Connor's going to end the turn taking 2 prizes after this much-needed Professor's Research. Just needs some resources to be able to work with.
Yeah, had to dig deep. Normally we see the double turbo and stuff come through for the amazing destruction, but this is just a lot of special energy having to be employed for the Evital. With the heat fire gone, all these Auroras potentially going to the discard pile. If Evital goes down, it means that Radiant Charizard is off the table for Connor, and if the other backup attacker is going to be a little bit slower to come online.
Yeah,
actually, as I look closer at Connor's list, no Radiant Charizard in this one? No, he has it. Yeah, good.
The one important thing with Connor right now is you got that V-Guard energy on the Evital. That is going to prevent Lumineon from actually taking a knockout with Aqua Return. It does 120, which usually is enough to take out the 110 HP Evital. But that V-Guard energy, reducing that 30 damage from your opponent's Pokemon V, is going to come up pretty huge here.
And you go for the Aqua Return because you want those special energies back into the deck. But if you aren't taking a knockout, then you're missing a step. You're letting your opponent get another rep of this amazing destruction back onto whatever you want to promote. And from here, if you went for Aqua Return, you have to promote something pretty important, I'd say.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be taxing on a lot of the plays here. And I think now Lance is just searching the deck with the Ultra Ball. Look at that. 4 Archeops. Must be nice.
But the setup completed, and now it's just a slugfest from this point, Jeremy. And we've seen this. The way I kind of evaluate the Lugia mirror match is similar to the Palkia mirror match, where one side seems to be in an advantage, and then suddenly you run out of viable attackers, and your opponent runs away with the game. So Lance has to keep on the pressure, gets that Raikou down onto the bench with the Aurora Energy attachment and the Primal Turbos coming through to set it up. Amazing Shot will now be online, and the second Primal Turbo finds a Capture Energy for the Lumineon V. What do we need next to use the Aqua Return?
Well, we're actually going Amazing Shot this
yeah,
turn,
just the attach and retreat.
Able
Gotcha.
to take the knockout. The Yveltal has 110 HP, 120 is enough to take it out. I think even weakness as well. And then now you're getting that 120 damage on that Lugia V-Star on the bench. That is going to set it up for an easy KO for pretty much any Pokemon in Lance's deck with those powerful energies even on the Archeops.
Wonderfully executed, just switching to the basic attacker to get around the V-Guard energy, using the Primal Turbo not only to set up your attacker, but also attach some energy to your active Pokemon to pay for the retreat cost. Beautifully done. Now Connor is still, 4 prize cards remaining, promotes the Snorlax, discards Drapion V with the Quick Ball, and finds Lumineon. Lumineon coming down to get the boss's orders. What Pokemon on the bench is he looking for here?
That Lumineon, bring it up. It's an easy 2-prize knockout for the Snorlax in the active spot. And then you just have to hope Lance does not have a boss's orders or Serena of his own. And this is the one hope for Connor here.
Primal Turbo gets the powerful and the capture energy onto Lugia V-Star. Still thinking about setting up the next turn's attacker. Snorlax in the active with the powerful colorless energy. Gets the double turbo as well to pay for that thumping snore attack. 180 damage, can take 2 prizes from this Lumineon V. Just has to reach out and take them.
Not having any hand disruption here is going to be a little worrisome, but there is the knockout. We'll have to see if Lance has things put together.
Double tails. He's down. He's
Ultra
still
Ball,
sleeping.
Lumineon, boss's orders. That is going to do it for Lance here. 2-0 against Connor FInton. And now 34 match points. That should be almost a lock. We've seen 35 as the bubble a lot of the time. Sometimes players will tie during the last round a little too much, and those 34s will sneak in. Either way, Lance is in a very good position to try to make it in that top 8 and continue. Meanwhile, Connor still has that chance to make 34 match points next round, but it's going to be a true test to see if he can win again.
Yeah, you're getting the wins, but now it comes down to the Swiss math, and you've got to feel great if you are Lance. You got the early advantage and you followed through. That's the secret. A lot of players can say, okay, I got my Archeops, but then they misappropriate their energies. They aren't getting the right Pokemon down from their searches in the right time, and they can't commit and take those wins. And Lance made it look easy. The Lugia mirror match seems to go one way or the other. We know that these mirrors can be incredibly close, and Lance just let fortune favor him and was in a position to capitalize on that.
Yeah, Lugia as a deck really just plays to the field. There's not really a lot of surprises going on, and that's why you saw Connor choose to get that V-Guard energy on that Yveltal. And then Lance just had the perfect counter, finding that amazing